Hey guys, and welcome to Ozzie Reviews. Today I'm going to show you how to sharpen a knife. A lot of people may have knives just sitting in the kitchen and they've been sitting there for years. They've never been sharpened and people are struggling with a dull blade. And trust me, once you know what it's like to identify a dull blade, you'll just wonder why the hell you hadn't sharpened your knives previously. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to run you through the whole lot. So let's show you the sharpening stones that I've got here. Now these sharpening stones here are from Naniwa in Japan and Chosera sharpening stones. These are probably the best synthetic sharpening stones that you can get out of Japan. I mean, these things are really good. They sharpen even the toughest steels, even the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 with the S110V steel. This thing comes up just beautifully on these stones. And normally, as most people know, with that particular steel, ease of sharpening is like 1 out of 10. So what we've got here is we've got a 400 grit stone, we've got a 1000 grit stone, 3000 grit stone, and last of all, a 5000 grit stone. Just next to it here, we've got what's called the sink bridge. I'll run you through that. And then we've got our cleaning stone. So before we jump into the sharpening part, guys, how do you tell if a knife is not sharp? Now, I've got just a global kitchen knife here. It's had a hell of a beating. We can see on it that, it's been run through I guess an electric sharpener. You can see all scratch marks up it and everything. It's definitely dull. And how I know is because I just ran it against bricks to really make it dull. So what you'll find is with this, okay, is you're going to have, obviously a dull blade will not run through paper, okay? So you can, look, you can try to cut it as much as you want and it actually just will not go through no matter what. So what do? So the first thing is we've got to be able to just take all the burrs and everything off. So what I'm going to do here is just show you on paper roughly what we're going to do. Okay, so think of your knife edge like so. That's the perfect knife edge, isn't it? You know, you want a nice sharp edge on it that's going to cut for you. When it's actually blunt, all the material is like this, okay? So you're not going to cut anything with it. So the idea of running the knife over the stones is to get rid of this material around the side and bring it back to an original sharp edge. It's that simple. So how do we do it? First of all, we're going to run the knife over the 400 grit stone. Then we're going to move up to the finer grits. So just think of it like sandpaper, for example. You know, you go down to the hardware shop and you get a very coarse sandpaper to start off with, and then you get a finer sandpaper to really finish things off. And knife sharpening is no different. It's exactly the same. So let's get this set up and I'll actually run you through the practical part of it. So two very important things you need to do when sharpening knives. One is the amount of pressure you're going to put down against the stone. Now notice I'm pushing against the blade here so that I'm training myself with the right amount of pressure to feel for against the blade, okay? Now you're looking for about 1.5 kilos or between 2 and 4 pounds in the old imperial system. Also too is the angle that you're going to sharpen against, okay? There's no use having it flat, you're not going to sharpen anything. You need to get it on an angle between sort of 12 and 15 degrees. Now when you're got the correct angle, you'll be able to do it fairly easily. It'll just come straight to you. But if you're just starting off with this, you can either get basically like a set of training wheels. They sell them on the internet there for when you're sharpening. Basically it's a block that'll give you the correct angle so you can run your knife over the stone no problem. But as I say, you will really get the hang of it once you work out the correct angle. So you've got to get the correct angle and push down with the correct pressure to obviously make the sharpening effective. So the first thing we want to do is attach the sink bridge to the sink. Now this is the proper Naniwa sink bridge. It's stainless steel, so it's really not going to rust on you. Now you've just got the adjustments at the bottom there to fit it nice and snug across your sink. And the reason why it's really good to do across the sink is that you can just wash away any material that you take off with the stones, and also add water to the stones. Now this is the great thing about these stones, is they don't need to be soaked, you know, in water as such. Like, you don't have to leave them soaking for hours on end before you can start sharpening. All you got to do is just simply wet it, and then you just get straight into the sharpening. So I'll just run some water over it there, and that's plenty. Now a lot of people use the cleaning stone at this stage. You know, if you've previously sharpened and there's any material on here, you just use the cleaning stone just to take off any material. What you'll find with this cleaning stone is you'll get a bit of a slurry, you know. Now a lot of people use these to actually get that slurry and use the slurry during the sharpening process. But I don't really do that. I just find a bit of water on it is more than enough, and you can get, obviously, it up razor sharp. So I'll put some more water into the stone. You'll be able to see that it really soaks it up here. Absorbs all the water, so you want it just so you got a nice amount of water on top. Okay, so when we've got the correct angle and the correct pressure, I only move in one direction, okay? Now, this is a fairly straight blade, so a lot of people would be tempted just to go back and forth with it. I don't. I always like to train myself to start from the base, okay, and then finish at the tip. So I'm going to be going in this motion here. Now obviously why I like doing that is because when I'm using a curved blade, well, it's the same. I can find the angle of the blade just nicely to do the sharpening. So this is a 400 grit stone here, so this is going to remove any excess material. So you want to do it an even amount both sides. So, you know, if it's a very dull blade like this one is, then I'm going to do it 10 times each side. So we get our correct angle. On your non-dominant hand, spread your fingers out over the blade, okay, so you can put equal pressure along that blade. And then all you need to do is just like so. Now the same on the other side. You can see that we've still got enough water there. So as you see, there's going to be some material naturally coming off the blade. So two things, you can either use the cleaning stone, or if you've got the sink bridge like this, you can just clean it off with your hand, and obviously clean the excess material off the blade. So what you want to feel for is you should be able to feel a burr, and it will be only on one side of the blade, okay? Because as you're taking material off, obviously it's going to intersect at a certain point in time, and there's going to be a burr that's formed there. So what you want to do is just keep going until you can feel that burr, and you know, it is fairly obvious, and then that's your indication to go up the next stone or to the finer grit. So we'll just keep doing a few more runs of this. Main thing you want to do is just make sure that you do it the even number on both sides. So it doesn't matter if you just do 2 or 3 on one side, do 2 or 3 on the other, and then vice versa. Okay, so I can feel the burr if you hold the knife this way on the left hand side. Okay, on the right hand side I can't, on the left you can. So that's indicating to me that it's time to go up to the next stone. So now we've got the 1000 grit stone, and I mean, when you feel it, you can feel that it's a lot smoother, obviously, than the 400 grit stone. Like I say, it's just like sandpaper. So I'll let a bit of water soak into that. This is a great thing about these stones, you know, it's just so quick and easy to get started with knife sharpening. Now when you're doing this too, guys, like, you know, like really it should only take you probably 5 to 10 minutes to sharpen your first knife from, you know, really badly dulled. So once you've got it like that, then to maintain it, it's a lot easier, okay? You really only need to be spending sort of 2 to 3 minutes on it. It's very, very simple to do. Okay, so same thing again. We're just going to get the same angle, spread our fingers out, and it's the same motion. And not sure if it'll come up on the audio, but you can hear that it's not as rough, you know, when I'm actually sharpening the blade. So at this point, you can already feel that there's an edge on it. Now this is only at 1000 grit, so let's move on to the next one now, the 3000 grit. Okay, so now the 5000 grit. Okay, so I've just got a standard leather belt here, guys, nothing fancy or bought, you know, specifically for this. So what I like to do is just strop the blade a couple of times. So what you're going to do here is don't cut, okay? Don't have the cutting part of the blade going forward. You want to go against that, and you just want to run it just along, just a couple of times. All right, let's have a look. Just like a razor. Okay guys, let's wrap up the review there. Now, Naniwa Chosera stones are probably the best synthetic stones that you can get out of Japan. So they're not cheap, okay? But you've really got to weigh up whether you want stones that are going to last you a lifetime and are going to give you that brilliant edge. Now, for example, as I say, with the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, the S110V steel on this is extremely hard to sharpen. I just ran this knife over the stones as I normally would, and they brought them up brilliantly. And that's why I think that the Naniwa Chosera stones are definitely worth the money. Now, I've tried electronic sharpeners, I've tried, you know, a lot of the cheaper sharpeners, and honestly guys, to me, I just got disappointed with them. I didn't really get anywhere, and you know, as you could see there from that global knife, if anything, I think it's pretty much just hacked into the material, and yeah, I just wasn't happy. So that's why I looked for a good set of stones that were going to last me a lifetime, but as I say, they're not cheap. Now, price-wise, it depends on what combination you get, but basically I got the 400 grit, the 1000 grit, and the 3000 grit stone in a pack for $450. Now, that'll get you sorted, but I also went up another level, and I got the 5000 grit stone, which was another $250. The sink bridge, about $150. Just shop around, you can get different prices from numerous different companies out there. So all up, you know, like I've spent a fair bit on it, but when you acquire the skill of knife sharpening, you'll sharpen all your knives to that razor edge finish, and you'll also sharpen, you know, the other halves, kitchen knives and everything. You know, you will find that you'll use it a lot. And when you've got an edge on a knife and it starts to get a little bit dull, you won't even have to go through the whole process like I did. You know, you can just start off on like 1000 grit stone and just bring that edge back nicely, then go up, you know, obviously to 3000 and 5000 if that's what you've got. So it is a very good skill to have, and I think you know, investing in a set of good quality stones is just a must. You know, it just makes the job so much easier. Like you've seen here, I mean, I had a blade that was completely dull. I was running it against the bricks of the house there to make sure that it was terrible. And you know, 5 to 10 minutes, it was done razor sharp. And to maintain that's only a couple of minutes. You know, you can do that once a month. It's not much at all. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the review and you got something from it. So till next time, we'll catch you then.